Welcome to Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. Casey Porter here. Hey, I'm going to try to do this as best I can. Been down ill for the last day. Did not even get to go see Clayton Kershaw yesterday in Oklahoma City. Didn't get to do any of those festivities because I've been laid up trying to get over the flu. I've had a temperature lately, but hey, we're going to get through this the best that we can because there is a lot to talk about the last 2 days. It has been very, very, very frustrating. First of all, the first thing that I wanted to cover on tonight's show is, and you guys, I think you guys know very well that I defend Dave Roberts. I defend the front office almost every single time. But just watching the tone of the messages on all the interviews and just with the way it's coming across, got to get rid of the woe is me crap, man. I mean, we're the Dodgers, okay? For instance, today, this game, yes, Yohan Ramirez, and we'll get into that decision. And yes, Yohan Ramirez should not have been in that ball game in the ninth inning. Guys, I defend Dave Roberts when I feel like he needs defended. But then also, whenever there's situations to where I think that could have been handled differently, you got to talk about those too. That's what we do on these kind of shows. Not to throw shade. It's not meant to be that. It's just meant to be good, constructive conversation about the Dodgers because we're all very passionate about the Dodgers as far as we want to see them win and we want to see them do that. So just the tone coming into today's game, oh, woe is me. Oh, well, we have so many injuries. Oh, we have so many. Good grief, man. Okay, your offense had 4 All-Stars in it. 4. You had 4 that's almost half of your lineup that's going to the All-Star game offensively today. And he didn't score after the first inning. He only scored 3 runs total and didn't have a runner in scoring position between the first inning and the 8th inning. Okay, that had nothing to do with injuries. That didn't, okay? Because, again, 4 All-Stars. You have another guy in Miggy Rowe who's having a really good offensive year. Beyond that, you're having another guy in Andy Pages who got 2 hits today, including an RBI. So between Rojas and Pages and then 4 All-Stars, there is no woe is me. Every team has problems like this. The Dodgers spent more money than anybody else in baseball, and yes, they have injuries, and yes, more injuries than other teams. But the woe is me crap about coming into this game of, well, we don't have this, well, we don't have that, well, it's going to be tough here, well, it's going to be tough there. Wah. You're the Dodgers, man. You still have a better roster than the Tigers. You still have better players than probably everybody else in baseball, even right now. So what your job is to win games with the roster that you have right now. Your job is not to make excuses as to why you can't win games and why it's so. Hey, we see the injuries. Trust me, we feel the injuries. We're Dodgers fans. We see them every single day. We know exactly how all this goes. We feel it. But my point to it is that you still have really good offensive players. Hey, maybe you need to look at the offensive philosophy as a whole instead of just looking at, hey, we don't have this, we don't have that. Because, blaming it on we don't have this or don't have that, okay, even if you're right, even if that absolutely is 100% factually correct, which it kind of is in certain situations with the Dodgers, what good does that do you? You have to figure out a way to work around it. You have to figure out a way to win games. And to be honest with you, I felt like today's game, and you guys know that I'm really high on Ricky Benasco. He has not had as good of a year this year. He struggled yesterday. It was tough to watch. But we have the tough conversations here at Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. And today's game, I think in a lot of ways could be described as we didn't have Evan Phillips available today because Ricky Benasco couldn't hold a 5-run lead. And yesterday, there was no criticism to be had of Dave Roberts. I don't care what anybody says. You have a 5-run lead. You have a bullpen game coming on Sunday afternoon. You go down staff there, and it didn't work. But you have to go down staff there because you have to have as many bullets as you possibly can ready for Sunday. And that's what he was trying to do by saving Evan Phillips. Daniel Hudson was not available today. Alex Vesia, 4 out of 5 days. Anthony Bonda has been throwing a lot. Anthony Bonda also has thrown on 4 out of 5 days. So the question is, why did Yohan Ramirez come out in that second inning? Here's the situation. Anthony Bonda, just mentioned it, 4 out of 5 days. Alex Vesia, 4 out of 5 days. That was the reason given why he didn't come in. That's a great reason if the game is tied and you're worried about going extra innings. That is not a reason whatsoever not to fire your best bullet when you have the lead. You tell Alex Vesia, you go out there and you win this game. You do it in 15 pitches or so, and let's go home in the All-Star break. Let's climb on the plane feeling good about ourselves, at least having won 2 out of 3 over the weekend. And at some point, if the game does become tied, then you can take him out and make it whatever he was talking about, throwing a position player after at that point. But while you're ahead, you throw the best bullet that you have available. Don't get Alex Vesia up. Don't even have him in the bullpen getting what they call them those up downs. Don't even do that if you're not going to use them. If you're ahead, again, I'll say this again. If the game were tied, I have no problems with going with Yohan Ramirez again. So here's really what this game came down to. Other than, from a decision perspective, I thought Dave Roberts, I talked about on Friday how he was spot on. I thought yesterday was spot on. I thought with the lead, it is a slam dunk, 1,000%. Alex Vesia comes into the game, period, in a discussion, and you win the game, or you lose the game with the best bullet you have available. Or here's another option, okay? Honeywell, by the way, had a really good game today. Michael Peterson, somebody had to go multiple innings today. So this is what the Dodgers do a lot. This is what Dave Roberts does a lot. You have a choice between really your two main choices of multiple innings today was Michael Peterson or Yohan Ramirez. Well, guess who has the most amount of Major League experience? So guess which pitcher Dave Roberts decided to go multiple innings with today? He chose to go multiple innings with Yohan Ramirez instead of Michael Peterson. And I tell you what, man, the emotions on the sleeve, the up down, the excitement, and then the frustration, and then wanting to throw the glove and all that, it does nothing for me in those high leverage moments, man. The Evan Phillips, cool cat. Now the Daniel Hudson type fiery emotion where it's all under check and he releases it once that he's finished the job, but he's able to keep his emotions in check. That's awesome, because I think those type of fiery emotions actually make you a better and more competitive pitcher. So I love that aspect of it, and I love emotions and all that. But Yohan Ramirez is way, way too emotional to be in a game. Hey, it's great whenever things are going good. You're going to rah-rah and cheerlead and high-five and do all that crap whenever things are going great. But what happens at the first sign of adversity, like it happened today? And the wheel play today, yeah, the bunt, that first bunt was the one that really was the huge mistake mentally, because he just was too emotional. I mean, he tried to go catch the ball in the air instead of just trying to make the play, throw the ball to first base, trying to win the game instead of he's trying to make the great play instead of just the good play. I mean, that's what rookies are supposed to do, not veterans. The second bunt, so it's the wheel play. If you notice, Miguel Rojas was covering third base. Gavin Lux was covering first base. And you have your third baseman crash. Typically speaking, on a wheel play, it's an automatic to third base. I mean, it's auto 3 for the pitcher. So for Yohan Ramirez to pick the baseball up and assume he was going to throw to third base, if he picks it up and throws it to third, the runner is probably out. So I don't have everything was made right from a mental perspective on the second bunt. He did everything he was supposed to mentally, didn't physically make the play. He hurried it, he panicked, and that panic mode led to yet another mistake and the Dodgers losing the game. So Yohan Ramirez, in my opinion, way too emotional to be in any kind of high leverage moments. So you had two choices that, in hindsight, I don't think Alex Vesia is hindsight. I do think maybe you could say the Michael Peterson thing would be hindsight. You can I think there's two things you could have done differently from a pitching perspective. You could have thrown Michael Peterson the 2 innings in the middle of the game instead of Johan Ramirez 2 innings at the end of the game. And then with a lead, it is a slam dunk guaranteed every single time you bring in your best bullet in Alex Vesia, especially with the All-Star break backing up and giving you time to recover from there. So, hey, I'm venting here, and I hope I'm not being too negative or throwing way too much shade on anybody. That was ridiculous. I mean, that was a ridiculous game. That was a ridiculous way to lose. I get it. It was a bullpen game. I'm going to say it again, though. Hey, man, everybody has problems. The Dodgers still have a better roster than everybody else. I don't want to hear the woe is me crap. I don't want to hear problems. I don't want to hear complaints. I don't want to hear what we don't have. I want to hear what the plan is to overcome it all. That's what I want to hear. And so that's kind of where I'm at tonight. So hope I'm not a little bit too fiery or any of that, but it's one of those deals. Hey, Showtime, thank you so much for joining. What a disaster of a week. All-Star break is very much needed, no doubt. Hey, yeah, player, hope you get well soon. Thank you so much for those well wishes. Mike M., Dodgers are the greatest collection of underachievers in Major League Baseball. Here's my concern, Mike. And, hey, yes, the NL West isn't very good. The Padres, the Snakes, none of them. The Giants haven't been able to take advantage a whole lot of what the Dodgers are doing. Fine. But here's my biggest concern. Okay, you're getting Clayton Kershaw back. We found out that Dustin May is going to be out for the year. What a weird deal that is. Nobody has any clue in what's going on with Walker Buehler. I've said that you need to go get Garrett Crochet. I think if you and then with the Yoshinobu Yamamoto retroactive thing, I think that was pretty predictable. I think early August was a little bit optimistic. I think middle August is being safe. I think that's the safe play. I think he could have came back sooner than that. But I think the Dodgers have seen without Yamamoto, the playoffs are bad news. You got to have Yamamoto for the playoffs. So you got to be as careful as you possibly can, because if you rush him at all and lose him for the year, this team's screwed. I think we've seen that. So you're going to get Glasnow back. You're going to get Yamamoto back. You add a Garrett Crochet. That fixes your starting pitching. So here's what I don't want to happen. It's kind of like whenever you go get plastic surgery and you go, man, that didn't look very good. Kind of like the Dodgers did in the offseason. You go get Shohei Ohtani. You go get Tyler Glasnow. You get Yoshinobu Yamamoto. You go get Taylor Hernandez. You go get James Paxton. And then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I mean, that wasn't bad, but man, that's not perfect. It's not exactly what I wanted. So then you go get another plastic surgery. And then you keep having plastic surgery trying to fix the surgery before. Next thing you know, you don't even look like yourself at all. That's what I worry about with the Dodgers. When you inject so many new people, keep hearing about the clubhouse and the culture and all this, it's tough to inject all these new people into that and create chemistry, and which allows you to max out on the potential that you might have. So I'm not in the boat that we need to go out and overreact and go get 1 million different pitchers and 4 outfielders and 2 I'm just not in that boat. The overcorrection part of it is not where I'm at. Where I'm at is using what you have in-house, adding strategic pieces. I think a dominant starter is a strategic piece that you add. I think a third baseman, figuring out third base in some which way or form, is something that I don't know what the solution is. You want to add an outfielder? Okay. I mean, it's going to be somebody you're going to be hoping, because it's not going to be somebody that you're surefire going to go, look what they're doing right now. We need that. It's going to be, hey, we think they're capable of doing this, and we hope by coming to the Dodgers, they are going to do it. So I'm not about overreacting. I'm about getting healthy, and I'm about utilizing what you already have on this roster to the maximum that you can. I understand the injuries. I've said it many different times. Part of this structure, hey, whenever you have an organizational philosophy that is built around maximizing your pitcher's velocity, maximizing every pitch they throw it as hard as you can for a lot of these guys, okay? That's great, but that leads to injury. So the injury part of that is something that you have to put into the game plan. That's why I say some of this is self-inflicted. when you go out and you favor veterans, of course, I know that Bobby Miller's been hurt, Kyle Hurt's been on the IL, all of that. But when you go get older pitchers, there's going to be more likelihood that they're going to have tight backs like Daniel Hudson did today and recover not quite as fast and things of those nature. So a lot of this is the way that the roster is constructed leads to this chaos. But then at the same time, there is enough talent, as I've said, to overcome it better than what the Dodgers have done. Michael Creo says Dave is a problem. He doesn't have that killer instinct. Hey, Showtime LA, it's not all bad news. River Ryan will debut soon. De Paula is off the IL, and Gerald Perez did a good job in the Futures game. Sure did, and we have a good down on the farm tonight. We're going to talk about Clayton Kershaw's rehab outing. We're also going to talk about Kendall George's first home run of the season. We're also going to talk about some more good news, Showtime. Ben Kasparius has returned for Oklahoma City. That's good, too. Hey, Mike M., tired of the excuses. Deuce, Dodgers lost to guys that couldn't even make their roster. Danny Barry Sports Highlight. Hey, everyone, happy Sunday. Hey, Mike Boyer, always on point. Mike M. Ramirez needs to go. Boy, we have a good crowd logging in. I'm going to go ahead and scroll down to the bottom. Cole, with the injury issues, I say 2 starting pitchers, a third baseman, and 1 bullpen arm. My only issue with that is I don't want another mid-starting pitcher. Just use Landon Knack, use Gavin Stone, use River Ryan, use Ben Kasparius. I would rather use Justin Robleski. I'd rather those guys get that inning than just a mid, just an average. A Lance Lynn, a Noah Syndergaard. Don't go do that. Use Robleski instead. So go get somebody. I'm for all about go get somebody who's elite or use your farm. And when you're talking about third base, I agree with you that third base needs to be fixed, but I just don't see anybody out there that's going to do that. Deuce, injury part with pitchers is part of the philosophy. If Dodgers draft and develop velo and max effort guys, they have to expect injuries. I just said that. Yeah, absolutely, Deuce. That's 100% correct. So you can't have that philosophy and enjoy all the strikeouts and enjoy the max effort and velocity and then come at me as a fan like, oh, well, woe is me. We have all these injuries. Oh, we have all this. I don't know if we can make it through. I just don't want to hear that, man. This is the way that you set your pitching up. So you got to have plan B and plan C for it. And, hey, I'm not asking you to be great, but go beat the Tigers, that kind of thing. Don't get swept by the foot. Now, you are in first place. I'm frustrated and I'm venting. I get all that. But that just struck me wrong. I just didn't like the message and the tone of the, man, we're shorthanded type thing. I just like the next man up message better. Hey, here's what I like to hear. Yeah, we got guys on the injured list, but you know what else we have? Matter of fact, I've talked to a manager about this, and this is one of the questions I asked minor league managers is, hey, how do you balance the fact that you're trying to win your division, but yet you're losing all your best players because they're getting promoted, and they say, yeah, that sucks, but you know the way that we look at it, we're the Dodgers, which means whoever we lose, we replace them with great players as well. That's the message that I want to hear. Not, oh, we're shorthanded, we don't know how we're going to make it through today's game. I want to hear the message that, hey, we're the Dodgers. There are no excuses. If you put on the Dodgers uniform, that means that we think that you're great enough to be a Dodger, and therefore we should be better than every team that we play. That's the message I want to hear. Maybe that's a little bit too pie in the sky. Maybe that's being a little bit too tough, but that's just kind of where I'm at. Kenny Chung, thank you so much for joining. There's no fixing third base. Muncie is going to be shut down for the rest of the season. Probably has an oblique. Even if he comes back, those obliques are tough. Hey, Noah Ortega, we can't sell too much of our farm and spend on players or else we may turn into the Padres. I agree. That's why I say you either go elite or you go home. Go with a needle mover. Don't just go get mid guys just because you're panicking because you lost a series right before the All-Star break. That's very frustrating to the Tigers. Go get Garrett Crochet or throw Justin Robleski. Either get an elite guy or use your farm. We've been misled about Muncie's injury all along. I tell you what, I don't know if Deuce, I hear what you're saying, but I've been around these oblique injuries, and I can tell you they're the most unpredictable. It's kind of like shoulders. That's why the Dodgers don't like them. You just don't know how these are going to go. I don't know. I don't know if it's as much so as misled as it is this thing is just unpredictable. There's no way that anybody can predict how, and then different people react differently. Like Ryan Pepio, it seemed like it took him forever to get back from it last year. So I don't think you're being misled. I think what's happening is the Dodgers are trying to be optimistic and aggressive with it, and it's just not working, and that just simply hasn't happened. Either Sheba, today's game was sad. I would agree with that. Let me scroll back up to, hey, the Damino. Thank you so much for joining in. Hey, by the way, Damino, Austin was at Detroit at Comerica Park on Saturday, so that's a whole lot of fun. Been a while. Hope you've been doing well. Yeah, a little bit down on the count. Did not even get to go see Kershaw yesterday. Didn't get to do any of that because I've been sick. My fever finally broke. It's been right around about 101.5, and it finally broke. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go on and vent and see what we can do here. Yeah, player 100% Vesia should have finished the game. Yeah, and then as soon as the game's tied, because he's thrown 4 out of 5 days and that kind of deal. And like, I love the comment that Dave made about they need him for the playoffs. That all makes sense. But you throw him until the game's tied. And then once the game's tied, I can live with we didn't have anybody else. This was it. So we fired all our bullets. We weren't able to get it done, and that's how things go. I'm good with that. But while you're ahead, you fire all your bullets. That's where I went at. Michael Carrillo says Honeywell could have went 4 innings. Yeah, I don't disagree with you there either. That's another option. So you could have thrown Honeywell another inning, or you could have gone Michael Peterson the multiple innings instead of Yohan Ramirez, and or you could have taken Alex Vesia and brought him in with the lead. Mike M. Ramirez is terrible. Next question. Yeah, I just don't like that. I think he has good stuff. I just don't like the emotions that he brings in those situations. I just think it's too scattered. I mean, it's just, hey, we're excited when things are good. We're frustrated when things are bad, and it's just up and down. It's a roller coaster, and I just don't think that mixes very well for the high leverage moments. Hey, Deuce, I guess there's more to being a pitcher than throwing hard like fielding a bunt or not losing your head out there. I would totally agree with that. Kenny Chung, as a matter of fact, hey, most pitching coaches will tell you if you allow the other team to see your frustration, then they have defeated you right then and there from a mental perspective. If you show them that they have gotten into your head, that's a win for the offense. So I totally agree with that, Deuce. Kenny Chung, Casey Roberts' insistence with constantly allowing players to redeem themselves go against common sense. Coaching fundamentals and decision-making, Yohan should not have been there in the ninth. I would agree with the Yohan not being in there in the ninth. I think you're also talking about the legacy player type of thing. That's a discussion for a different day. We've had that discussion. I think people squarely know where I stand on that. I want it. So here's what I want the Dodgers roster to be. I want it to be all-star players: Mookie Betts, Teo Hernandez, Freddie Freeman, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Tyler Glasnow, Shohei Ohtani. I want it to be that caliber of player, and then your farm system. The in-between guys that I just don't think – I think those guys keep you from building year after year after year after year. And then even if they do have a good year like J.D. Martinez, they leave you the next year. And so what do you get out of them? Then if they don't, like Noah Syndergaard and Lance Lynn, now you've taken away innings from your younger guys that we've seen. They need that adjustment period. I don't want any innings taken away from Justin Robleski or River Ryan, or if Bobby Miller figures it out, Bobby Miller or a Ben Kasperius. I don't want any of those innings taken away from a mid-level veteran-type guy that's either not going to be here next year if he does do well, or he does like Lance Lynn does, or, he's not going to be on your playoff roster anyways. I just don't see the point in that, because you're not building towards the playoffs this year, and then you're also not building towards the future. So I want the elite level player, then I want the farmhands. That's the roster I want to see the Dodgers put out on the field. Hey, Go Dodgers says, can we fire Dave Roberts? Yeah. I tell you what, I thought that Dave, there's always hindsight to this. I thought Dave was great. For almost all weekend, I thought, for the most part, I thought there were some ways that he could have mapped things differently today. But then again, if Yohan Ramirez goes out there and throws up a 0, None of us are talking about any of this. And again, I'll say this. This goes back to just a bad performance by my boy Ricky Vanasco, he hasn't been as good this year. If Vanasco goes out there and just gives up 3 runs and ends the game, the Dodgers win yesterday like they should have, then guess who's out there for the 9th inning today? Evan Phillips. And it's an entirely different game. And the Dodgers, instead of losing these last 2 games, they win these last 2 games. That's how slight and how small, Austin always talks about those margins. That's how small they are. Hey, I want to remind you that we have a great Down the Farm coming up, so make sure and stick around for that. Going to talk about Clayton Kershaw's Major League Rehab. Going to talk about Ben Kasperius, Kenny George's first home run of the season. Hey, go Dodgers. Says Dodgers aren't perfect. We need perfection. LOL, yeah. At least the NL West is still a big lead because the NL West has not been good. Deuce. If the number one goal is to win a World Series, Roberts isn't the guy. If the goal is to keep players happy and have good PR, Roberts is perfect. Tired of hearing about Kenny Chung says lead in a terrible division. Yeah, that's what I just mentioned just a minute ago. Tired of hearing that every team's win, that the Dodgers are every team's World Series win. These are all asinine excuses. Hey, Go Dodgers says we need a big bat like Vladimir Guerrero. I don't know who that would be. If you have some suggestions and some packages that another group would take, I would like to hear those. But hey, Noah Ortega, realistically taking everything into consideration, salary adjustments, being a seller of the other team's asking price, prospect capital, I see us getting a Rosarina, Flaherty, Pham, and Crochet. Boy, that would be quite a haul. That would be a big haul. I think Dodgers fans would be super, super happy about that. So that gives you your guy. So that gives you your third ace level type guy in Crochet. That gives you another guy in Flaherty that could maybe throw that 4th game in the playoffs if you needed him to. That gives you your big bat in the outfield. That's what we're talking about, where Andy Paez will probably be in center field because you would go acquire a corner outfield bat. And then that also gives you a bat-to-ball skill guy that has some dog in him in Tommy Pham. So that would be a package. If the Dodgers did all that, Dodgers fans would be just absolutely ecstatic. They would do cartwheels if that happens. Go Dodgers, we need a closer like Mason Miller. Yeah, but closers don't throw in 3 days rest either. So, and we saw the other day how effective it was for Evan Phillips to be bridged to get past Tarek Skubal and get the game to the bullpen with the Dodgers just down 1. So I'm not necessarily on the boat of needing a closer, but I am on the boat of, hey, next man up type of deal, and don't always favor Johan Ramirez to go the 2 innings instead of Michael Peterson. Go with the guy that's actually showing that he has more of an ability to get outs. And or I just think if you bring in Alex Vesia right there, your best bullet, I think you're fine. Or like mentioned earlier, if you throw Honeywell another inning, maybe. But, they had a specific pitch count for him. I think it's as simple as just bringing in Alex Vesia, and I think you're fine. Hey, and we are down to the bottom of this. Noah Ortega, thank you so much for your super chat. Much, much, much appreciated. Dodgers Daily Therapy. Hey, I hope I'm not flying off the handle too much here. I am frustrated like everybody else is. It was a frustrating weekend, especially the way that it started. I even mentioned on the show Friday night, like, hey, this is the type of game that might give you some momentum. This might kind of spark something positive going in the positive direction of which the Dodgers kind of need. And it's just it's such an anomaly because, I don't know what word you're supposed to use there, but it's so odd because the overall big picture looks so positive. So the overall big picture, you have a lead in the division. You're going to get Glasnow back. You're going to get Yamamoto back. You're probably going to make a couple splashes at the trade deadline. And with that roster all coming back and what you're probably going to add to it at the trade deadline, you're still probably going to be the favorites to win the World Series. So it's just so weird. It's such a weird emotion that all the big picture aspects of this are so positive, but the day-to-day feel of it is so negative. It's one of the weirder seasons I've ever been involved with. Hey, Elishiva Jones says, Will Smith. Will Smith is the best catcher in baseball. No doubt. Kenny Chung, agree, Casey, stop with the fence riders. play the kids. That's where I'm at. Elite players, farmhands. Elite players, farmhands. Over and over and over. That way you're building. And what that allows you to do, that allows you to build your future with the Justin Robleskis, with the Andy Pajes, with even a Miguel Vargas, surrounded by all-star Hall of Fame type guys that allow them to transition in. Everybody has a full-time role, and you win, and you build a future. I just think that's the best case scenario. I just think the Dodgers have to get over the middling veteran over the farm system because it just absolutely creates chaos. It's chaos. I'll put it to you this way. AAA Oklahoma City had to throw a bullpen game first game of the year this year. The chaos just, it's kind of maddening. And so you can tell I'm venting a little bit today. That's okay. Everybody vents from time to time. So, hey, Kenny Chung, some of these trade requests are so ridiculous. Vladdy Jr., Mason Miller, etc. These players aren't even on the market. Just a waste of breath and time addressing BS like this. I agree. That's why I said I am not in overcorrection mode at all. The Dodgers have enough returning. You add a couple of strategic pieces. I just think maybe an outfield bat, one more bat to extend this lineup, and another elite starting pitcher, and I think that's plenty. I think that's enough to put you over the top to be the favorites to win a World Series. Don't overcorrect. Overcorrection actually is what causes, whenever you swerve off the right side of the road and you realize you're going off the road, where you actually probably have the most chance of wrecking is whenever you overcorrect, you end up on the ditch on the other side. You cross traffic, and that's where the most deadly collisions happen. If you have that bad plastic surgery, just live with it. Don't have 6 plastic surgeries to where at the end you don't even look recognizable. That's what I don't want the Dodgers to do here. It is what it is. It's a frustrating game, but the Dodgers still have great players. They still have a great roster infrastructure. They still have a great culture. And so I think some perspective as far as that goes is what's needed at this point. Hey, Cole. Hey, Casey, here you go. You want to see heads explode? Acquire Vlad Guerrero and Gossman from Toronto. Play Vlad at third base. Yeah, that's definitely an idea. Chin Lu, hey, thank you so much for joining. Every year Dodgers have pitcher problems. That's because their philosophy is in maxing out velo. It is what it is. I mean, and they tried to combat that by throwing fewer innings. That didn't work. So the Dodgers are in kind of that transition mode to where they're trying to get more linked with their starting pitchers now and throwing them on longer days rest. But in the last month, they've only averaged about 5 innings a start. So it's just like every type of model they've tried to use to avoid the injury thing, just simply, it's kind of like those movies to where, hey, when it was your day to die, and then you avoid that eventually, yeah, you didn't die at that moment, but it comes back and you end up dying anyway some other way. It just, whenever your philosophy is maxing out on velo, it's like, yeah, you tried this method, you tried that method, you tried this philosophy, that philosophy, and you still end up with the most IL stints for your pitchers. And that, that would be the reason why, because you're not asking guys to, hey, maybe throw 75, 80%, but move the ball, locate, be efficient. Just exactly, the Honeywell is the exact example of that. So the Dodgers knew they needed to figure out a way to get at least 3 innings out of him in the 40 pitches he had available. So guess what he did? He said, I don't care if I give up runs, but the ball is going to be in the strike zone. I'm going to locate. I'm going to change speeds. I'm going to keep the Tigers off balance. And if they hit me, they hit me. But you know what? If they don't, then I'm going to get through 3 innings in about 30 some odd pitches, and I'm going to do exactly what the team needs me to do. That's your exact model as to creating efficiency with your pitching staff. Having more guys like that are just thinking, hey, locate, change speeds. Actually, instead of trying to throw to miss bats, throw to missing barrels and creating weak contact and having quick innings and quick outs and that kind of thing, just like Honeywell did today. That's your model of it right there. So it's kind of an interesting conundrum that the Dodgers are in. You love the high-riding fastballs. You love the maxing out on velos. You love having Tulsa, who last year led all of minor leagues with with the average velocity per pitch at 94.4. You love all that. I mean, the bullpen for Tulsa right now has Jake Pilarski, Edgardo Henriquez, Juan Murillo, and they have all these guys that can throw well over 100 miles an hour. Michael Peterson, who you saw just got brought up, he can reach 100 miles an hour. He's about 97, 98 today. So if you're going to be based on velo, you're going to have to be prepared for guys going on the IL. Kenny Chung, Crochet, Randy, and Kikuchi. If Evaldi is made available, got to get him. Then the wish list should be Crochet, Evaldi, and Randy. Okay, so one thing that I did want to mention, for me, not for a Dodgers positive note, but just a positive note overall, got a chance to see Zach McKinstry several different times in AAA Oklahoma City. What a wonderful young man. Went to Eastern Michigan. He's certainly proud of his Central Michigan. Excuse me. Sorry for that mistake. University of Central Michigan. Actually, I think it may be Central Michigan University. I screwed that whole thing up. Central Michigan. Okay, he's a Chippewa. Let's put it to you that way. And he's very, very proud of it. And had a chance to actually interview and talk to him. And what a wonderful young man he is. I'm sure he was frustrated while he was a Dodger, getting up and down, moving positions here or there, getting to play shortstop, not having a great year or anything. But I know it came against the Dodgers, but I was a little bit torn because I was just happy to see Zach McKinstry have some success there because he is such a great dude. So I was pleased to see that if it was going to happen, it happened with somebody like Zach McKinstry having success there. Then also Ryan Valade. I'm friends with his dad, James Valade, who was an assistant at Oklahoma State, now back in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and he actually owns his own academy, the Valade Hitting Academy. So, hey, I was glad to see that if it was going to be anybody, it was Zach McKinstry that had the success. So, like we said, Anthony Bonda had thrown 4 out of the last 5 days. He couldn't extend. I think it came down to Michael Peterson and Johan Ramirez as far as the guys that could have extended. So, hey, Bob Student 10, thank you so much for joining. Weak contact is better for long season versus swing and miss. Great point, Casey. Hey, Ryan, I'm just saying, too, also, if you're going to have a philosophy of maxing out, that puts the most amount of stress on your arm. That's not my opinion. That's scientific. Then you're going to lead. You're going to be up there in IL stints. So you have to have a plan B and a plan C for that. That's another reason why I just don't want to hear the woe is me. Oh, we don't have this. I want to hear what you do have. What is your plan? I said it the other day. All I asked whenever I was a head coach was, if you're going to come to me with a complaint or a problem, don't do it unless you also have a solution. So if you're going to tell me, hey, we don't have this guy, we have all these injuries, what are your solutions to that? Are you going to continue to have the philosophy that we know by maxing out puts you in a more likely category to have those injuries? Or are you going to keep doing that and then also complain about having all the injuries? That's where my frustration comes from at this point. Kenny Chung, high velo equals not a matter of if, but when. Totally agree. Hey, Alfonso Lucio, Zach became Troy to the whiskey there, yeah. Hey, also, I released my interview with Diego Cartaya this morning. If you haven't seen that, go over and check that out. Released my interview with Trey Sweeney yesterday. Alan Trejo released it Friday. And then this week, I have interviews with coming out with Lucas Webb and Chris Campos. So super excited about releasing those 2 interviews. So if you haven't checked those out, go on over and check those out as well. So, hey, if we don't have any more comments, I think what we're going to do now, that's pretty much all I have for my thoughts on the big Dodgers today. We're going to go ahead and hit our Down on the Farm segment, and we're going to talk about all the great action. Again, just a reminder, hey, make sure and stick around. We're going to talk about Kendall George's first home run of the year, Ben Kasparius returning. We're going to talk about Noah Miller. We're going to talk about Clayton Kershaw and his rehab outing last night. So it's about 17, 18 minutes, and we're going to stick around and talk about it here as we take a trip down on the farm. Single A level Rancho Cucamonga, and yes, that is a home run, and that is, yes, Kendall George. That is his first home run of the season. I was watching an interview from him yesterday, a quick interview, and he mentioned that he was trying to get a little bit more lift in his swing. Now, make no mistake about it. His game is never going to center around home runs. He scored 52 runs in 59 games. He also has an on-base percentage that's close to 400. That's what his game is always going to revolve around. But, hey, you do need a guy to hit a home run every now and then. I mean, he needs to be able to have the ability to hit a home run on occasion. So it's good to see Kendall George as he gets a little bit stronger. Of course, the body's going to grow. He got drafted straight out of high school just last summer, and so he's going to continue to get stronger. That's also probably going to help him quite a bit with higher velos that you could predict he would struggle with early in his career with the Dodgers. Just get bigger and stronger, get better bat speed. It's going to allow the ball to travel a little bit more and then also get to higher velos. So, hey, good to see Kendall George hit his first home run of the season last night. Alexander Albertus had a couple of hits, and I really like his swing too. We've broken down several different other swings of these young Rancho Cucamonga Quakes hitters. But again, another hitter that just looked at his head, 2 eyes on the baseball, and there is that heel strike again. Watch that heel strike there and see that one more time. What I want you to watch as this heel strikes the ground, watch this back heel come up. That is a consistent theme with these young hitters. And as that happens, watch that actually launches his swing. So when that heel strikes, that back heel comes up. Now how that launches that swing, and from here, I mean, he is just absolutely, you see him flatten the barrel there and then turn it down to the ball and then lift in front right there. That is a great swing. And by the way, look at that head, how it's tucked in. That's a very Andy Pye. The boy looks painful right there, doesn't it? I wish I could get in positions like that again. That's a pretty violent position to get onto just to hit a single on. But Alexander Albertus, there's a lot of torque, there's a lot of power in that swing, but there's also a lot of efficiency and a lot of great mechanics. Look at the leverage he's hitting against on the front side of that. And then we always talk about with that backside, the lower you can actually get your knee to the ground, the more athletic you're going to be and the more power you're going to create. And so, obviously that's a very athletic position to get in. His head's down on the baseball. Nothing not to like here about Alexander Albertus, a young shortstop prospect in the system that, hey, the numbers, whatever, we talk about that all the time. Here's another hit from Albertus here. You see an open face look at him as far as him hitting the baseball. There's a hit from behind. Let's go ahead and look at this from behind, and you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Watch the heel come up, or the heel strike, and then the heel come up, and then stay through the baseball. So a good prospect, Alexander Albertus, a shortstop prospect. It was good to see Peter Hubeck back on the bump, if I can get play clicked here. And man, boy, he has had a good season to this point for the Great Lakes Loons and all that he's been able to do for them. Peter Hubeck has been kind of in and out as of late, but had a good outing. ERA, by the way, 2.88 on the year. Whip 128. He has 82 strikeouts in 59 and a third innings. That four-seam fastball that I've talked to him a couple times. He is hoping he can sit, not hit, sit around 96. It's a good pitch there. And then also he spikes that curveball. That's a nice pitch too. And then the slider he's learned since he's become a Dodger. That curveball that he throws quite a bit. I like that 4-slot fastball. I always call it a right-handed version of that Clayton Kershaw 12-6 curveball, because it is just a really good pitch that has a lot of downward tilt to it. So good to see Peter Hubeck back in the game. An inning last night, scored us. He had a strikeout, gave up 1 hit and no walks. So good look at Peter Hubeck, and a good job last night. Noah Miller had 3 hits last night for Great Lakes. He also scored a run and had a really good game in the 2-hole, hit behind Josue de Paula, who also had a hit as well for Great Lakes. Jake Geloff also had a hit. Geloff hit his 9th double of the season, also had RBI number 23 on the year. And in total, the Great Lakes Loons had 9 hits and 4 RBIs, led by the 3 hits of Noah Miller. This is a guy that, if you were to say, hey, what kind of type of player he is, I think he's definitely a glove first type of guy. He won the, he was awarded the Golden Glove for all the shortstops in the minor leagues last year. So he plays great defense, solid offensive player. He's hitting so far on the season 264, OPS 697. So the slug's not all that great, but hey, as good a shortstop as he plays, really all you need out of him is just kind of some solid offense. On-base percentage is .345. He has 33 RBIs, 6 home runs. So Noah Miller, I think you could classify him as a plus defender, a solid offensive player. Had a couple of base knocks last night. Matter of fact, 3 base knocks for Great Lakes. Damon Keith had 3 hits for AA Tulsa on Sunday afternoon. Boy, Damon Keith, I'll tell you what, this guy has had some big-time moments. This is video I actually took. I want to kind of show you a live video of him. Matter of fact, let's actually get to a home run live video. It's better video anyways of Damon Keith. Look at his trunks, though. I mean, this is a hulking young man. We also got to see him throw a runner out. I'll show you that maybe if we have time here in a minute of him throwing a runner out. But he takes a manly swing. That is an opposite field home run that you saw from Damon Keith. 3 hits for him. His average is up to .276 on the season. His OPS is at .906, and his on-base percentage is .384. So Damon Keith, I'll tell you what, this young man has been a really good player since he returned. He has 4 for his last 9 now, and he has hits in 3 of his last 4 games. This is a guy that, hey, whenever he is putting the ball in play and getting it fair and not striking out, he is a guy that can make a big difference in a game. Let me show you how he threw a runner out here. Well, actually, I don't think we're going to get to that, but I may show that to you at a later date and time. But actually, let's get to it right here. Here's Damon Keith, and right here, that's actually Justin Robleski pitching. And here comes Damon Keith throwing a runner out at second base. Pick up the baseball, throw it in. A nice arm. I mean, it's not like Andy Pages or Jose Ramos, but it is a good arm, and it's accurate. So there you saw both the offense and defense of Damon Keith. Antonio Knowles threw a scoreless inning for AA Tulsa. Actually, threw 4 outs for AA Tulsa. He was the second pitcher in after Jameen Rosario. What I really like about him, he's throwing that sinker. So he's going to start, that sinker will start right over here and then work itself back over the plate. And then he throws that slider, that one there, to right-handers. And it's a really nice combo. So he's kind of throwing a sinker, if you will, to lefties and that slider/cutter to right-handers. And then to right-handers, he'll throw that wipeout slider, that one there where he's actually trying to get swing and miss. So, hey, Antonio Knowles, he's been in AA for a minute. He's had a good season, .303 on the ERA. For the year, his whip is .124. He has 43 strikeouts in 38.2 innings, and he had a good day on Sunday afternoon. Antonio Knowles. Getting ready to release my interview with Lucas Webb, and that's who you're seeing here. I'm super excited about that. Lucas threw 2 innings today. Hey, he's that guy that the drillers have used in every single scenario. He's great in high leverage for the last 3 outs. He could easily be a closer. He loves the big moments. He's super competitive. But then again, he could also be the guy they used today. He was the 3rd guy in and throw multiple innings. He threw 2 innings today, gave up. He sprayed around 3 hits, but he was able to go scoreless because he had 4 strikeouts and did not walk anybody. And for a guy that throws a split finger change, actually a splinker, as he described it, which is between a split finger and a sinker, and the velo splits the difference. If you don't walk anybody with the kind of movement and the long legs and the nice delivery close to home plate that Lucas Webb has, you're probably going to have success, and that's what happened with him. So great job, Lucas Webb, going 2 innings today, scoreless, .386 on the year for the ERA. Whip, actually .241 overall on the ERA. The whip overall is .088. It gets kind of complicated in the MiLB sites because they split them between the 2 different locations. So at Great Lakes, the ERA was fantastic at .184. It's been .386 so far in AA, but a smaller sample size definitely. Really like Lucas Webb. I like his top side, his upside, plus I like the versatility, the competitive nature, the mix, all of it. So excited to release his interview this week, Lucas Webb. Another young man that I talk about quite a bit, Subby right here out of Texas Tech, the Red Raiders. Having a really nice year. And will actually kind of struggle a little bit early. He's having a really nice month, I should say. He's been really good the last 4 to 6 weeks of this season. So .434, and you know that's kind of me at the AA level. Nothing. I mean that's not all that great. But if you look at what he's done as of late, let me get to his game logs here. And he has his last 2 outings have been scoreless. His last 3 out of 4 have been scoreless. And then when you go back to June, His ERA was 1.64, and so far it's 2.45 in July. So in 11 innings in June, he gave up 2 earned runs, and then in 7.1 innings so far in July, he's given up 2 earned runs. So in his last 18.1 innings, he's given up just 4 runs, and he has 23 strikeouts. The deal with him is it's all about keeping in the zone. He also has 9 walks in those 18.1 innings. That's as much success as he's had in that period. That's still too high. If he can just keep the ball in the zone, have good control and command, the stuff is there. So good job, Ryan Sublette. There's a good look at him. So here's a good look at the Clayton Kershaw rehab. I was going to go to the game and I was going to do all that, and I came down sick on Saturday. I was not able to do absolutely any of it. I was going to go interview Jesse Hahn on Sunday. Earlier today, I wasn't able to do that. I was supposed to actually interview Mike Rooney, the Division I baseball broadcaster and analyst that does a lot of work on a lot of the college baseball broadcast. I was supposed to interview him for my Oklahoma State Daily site. Wasn't able to do that. I'm finally, I think, decent enough to put this video together, although you can probably tell the difference in my voice. So this is Clayton Kershaw right here. A successful, very successful rehab outing last night at 3 innings. Did a good job. He's going to rehab again Friday for Oklahoma City. So excited about that. And I was also excited to see that the Oklahoma City fans showed up. Hey, that's the second time, I should say, in the last week that over 9,000 people have went to see a game at Oklahoma City. So that's great to see. And it's also great to see that Clayton Kershaw is on his way back with the news of Yoshinobu Yamamoto being retroactively placed on the 60-day. He'll be back, somewhere in mid-August. Then, hey, you need, and with the way that things are going, you need guys to come back. So hopefully Clayton Kershaw can continue to have successful rehab outings and work his way back to the big club sooner rather than later. Welcome back, Ben Kasparius, who threw 3 scoreless innings on Sunday, 4 strikeouts, 1 walk, and gave up no runs. Kasparius, who has been having his best year as a pro. We've talked about him many different times. It's been a process for him refining his mix. And refining his mix, he's always had nasty stuff. He's always had big stuff. But if you go back to the Jack Dreyer interview, you can have all the big stuff you want, but if it's not something that you can execute over and over and over, then it really does you no good. So he's finally found the mix that is good enough to consistently get professional hitters out that he can execute at a very high level. And because of that, the ERA is 3.32. The whip is down to 1.28. He has 72 strikeouts in 62.1 innings. And it was just unfortunate, especially with all of the injuries the Dodgers have had, that Kasparius went down on June 18th and has not pitched since then. But it's good to see him back. The Dodgers need any kind of reinforcement they could have. I know rumors are that River Ryan's going to be placed on the 40-man and finally make in 26-man eventually make his Major League debut after the All-Star break. This is another guy in Ben Kasparius that I think you need to keep your eye on because he has been throwing the baseball very well all year. Threw it well again tonight in his return back to the Oklahoma City lineup. So great job, Ben Kasparius. Going to go ahead and come on back on here in case you have any more questions as far as any of the prospects or anything that happened today. Going to hang out here for another couple of minutes, and then I'm going to enjoy my Sunday evening. And then the All-Star break. There are no games between now and I think Friday. Kershaw is making another appearance. I think it's in Oklahoma City. I have not even looked at the schedule, but going to head out, and I think I'm feeling good enough to spend the evening with my beautiful bride of 25 years and my 2 beautiful babies that you hear quite a bit on this show on Dodgers Dogs. They like to be the Dodgers Dogs. So, hey, if you have any questions, we're going to hang out here. We have covered a lot. I think we've done a lot of venting here. I hope I did not get too negative for you. I hope I did not get too fired up. But sometimes, hey, man, it gets to me too. And this has been very frustrating. I'm sure it's very frustrating. As frustrated as we are, the players and the managers and all that, it's times 100 for them. So I hope they get all some great rest. Of course, Tio, Will, and then Freddie and Shohei and Mookie, I'm sure, will be at all the All-Star stuff too. They're not going to get quite as big of a break because they're going to be at the All-Star festivities, and I've been on record as saying I'm not real fired up about the fact that T.O. is going to be in the home run derby because I just don't like that in the middle of the season. I wish they would have the home run derby after the season was over, but that is what it is. So, hey, we had a great crowd today. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And so that's going to conclude today's show. And so until next time, I want to thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network, and go Dodgers.